before I asked it. And it was a very famous appointment because they'd found this person that really could match Melisandre in driving, fabulous Flaxmere and driving Hastings to new heights of fabulousness, really. And of course, he lived up to all of his reputation, for sure. And I remember one of the councillors saying to me that when they interviewed him, she had made her decision when he sat down, because she said the room had got quite hot, and she said he took off his suit jacket and he rolled up his sleeves. And for those of you that know him, know he had quite a lot of tattoos. And he sat there with his arms rolled up, and she said she looked at him and thought, oh, this is a man that can wear a suit, but also will roll his sleeves up and get stuck into business. And it's absolutely true. If you were around during the last two trainings in any of those workspaces, Nigel was at every single place. And it wasn't because he thought he had to, and it actually wasn't about FOMO either. He actually loved being in every community space and seeing every person and being connected to them. In fact, he was also quite famous because he'd always ask, oh, is there going to be a honey? Because he always wanted to be there at 3 a.m. to do that as well. So you'd arrive and Nigel would be there all smoky and scruffy, actually, for an event, and Melisandre was always telling him to go and get cleaned up. So he was just as happy in his singlet as in his suit. He had actually a superpower, which is really unusual in local government. This exceptional skill, he could listen to us all around the table and hear all our dreams and aspirations for our community. And he would translate them actually into work streams and outcomes. You say to him, I'm really worried about this in my community, and next thing he'd turn up and say, I've been thinking. And he'd show you all the ways to make it happen, and then he would make it happen. And that's why when you look around Hastings, you just see houses everywhere, you see a whole lot of young people that he put into work through the procurement process that we spent such a lot of time on, because he insisted that when we did all that roading work, we were funded, I think, from what was called Kanoa back then, that it had to include young people going into work. And when they came in to report, you'd see him with his pen. How many young men? Which ones were they? What were their names? How many of those young women? What job? What? He knew every single one of them. And if you ever were out with them and he'd see one of them, he'd stop and tap them on the shoulder and say, hey, where have you got to? What's happened? I know you were part of that. So he was a really special man. He always turned up. Always. There wasn't a place that Nigel didn't turn up for. So acknowledging him today, huge loss for his family, thinking of Erica and the family, and a huge loss for our community. So I just wanted to open the space with those few reflections and open the floor if people wanted to make a comment in this space. And yet, if I know you wanted to speak. Michael, you're on mute. Oh, yeah.
I've known Nigel for a very long time. When I was National Coordinator for Seasonal Labour, he was Deputy Secretary of Immigration at the time, MBIE, and he had enormous amount of power and influence, not because of his eloquence, but just because of his understanding of the issues at the time. And he was a true champion also of the horticulture industry by bringing the RSE scheme together with industry in the best way possible. He understood the issues, and I travelled with him widely into Samoa and Fiji. And as soon as he could, he would take his suit off and be in jandals and shorts and a tank top, and he would look for where there was kava to be had, and sit down with the people. He made an endeavour to learn their language and know their language, and they titled him Tosavili, Nigel Bickle, and together with Tosavili, Len Brown, Len Thompson from Johnny Appleseed, they did some amazing work in in Samoa, and I would imagine there will be a lot of grief from those villages where he has made some enormous impact. I've known a lot of his colleagues, ex-colleagues, spoken to them in the last couple of days, and they're all distraught and can't understand that such a good man is no longer here to continue the good work that he was doing. So he didn't suffer fools. That's one thing. Very very soon, if you're on the wrong side of him, but he was polite and direct about it. Not mean-spirited, and so I've only got amazing things to say about him. And if you listen to his story, there are no university degrees or honours or masters. He just started at the bottom and was his honest self and worked his way up, which is truly remarkable in this day and age that you're able to do that. And on that basis, achieving true status. And it's great to see that the Hastings community and those community who he served are going to give him the farewell that he never would have expected. So it's a real sad loss to have lost Tosavili Nigel Bickle. Thank you.
Thank you. Tanya?
Awa tuatahi ki a koe, Nigel. Haere atu koe ki a nunui, ki a roroa mā. Ko koutou ki a koutou kua whetūrangitia. Ka māhue nei ko tātou ki te papa e tākoto nei. Tēnā tātou. Look. It's really hard to speak of Nigel without wanting to have a big cry, actually, to be honest. It's a huge loss, and it reminds us that at any time anyone can be vulnerable, including high-achieving leaders who are doing amazing things for many other people. It just reminds us that at any time anyone can be vulnerable, and I suppose it raises the question for me is, what do we do to look after our leaders? What are we doing to look after our leaders? Because he's such a huge loss. But thinking about the good times and the tough times with Nigel, and I say tough because during his tenure at Hastings District Council, we know he had to deal with COVID and of course the cyclone. And I think for me, at the time when I was chair of Maunga Hararu Tangetu Trust and we were going through post-cyclone recovery, Nigel did many things to help us in many ways, but the most important thing Nigel did was he picked up the phone when I called, or he returned my call when I left him a message. And when you're really desperate for help for your people, there's nothing better than the person who takes your call. And the second thing about Nigel is he just like you were saying, Sophie, he wasn't just a man of words. He took action, and whenever we needed help from the Hastings District Council, he would physically go down and talk to his managers to make sure that they were onto it. He was just that dedicated to helping our hapu and our marae post-recovery. So we love Nigel, and I'm very sad that he's not going to be around any further, but I want to remember the things that he was passionate about and the kind of person he was, and aspire to be more like Nigel in my life. I'm not sure I'm going to get tattoos or a full sleeve on my arm, but I do want to carry Nigel forward with us, because his wairua was exceptional. I can only see Nigel with a smile or being cheeky. That's his forever memory in my mind. So, tēnā tātou.
Thank you. Ngā mihi, Tanya. Councillor Ormsby.
Kia ora, o kua hinga tētahi tōtarai te wānui tāni. And that means a great tōtara has fallen in the forest. I had so much admiration for his dedication to his community, to our region, but also the kindness in which he did that And I often think back to post-cyclone, and like Tanya said, his ability to get to every community he could, to come to every hui he could, and out at Waiōhiki here, that was him also. And the way in which he could interact with all people, with tangata whenua, with tangata Pacifica, and with all our communities, we're just going to miss his kind heart and dedication. And over the next few days, we'll be able to cry more and share more stories at Waipatu Marae and at Toi Toi on Monday. And that's a really good time for us to share those memories also. So not that I'm looking forward to that, but that is part of the grieving process, and that's part of us showing our aroha to his whānau. Sure.
Thank you. I thought we might just take a minute's silence before we start our meeting. Thank you. Mihi kia koutou. Thank you, everyone. Katrina, acting CEO. Thank you. I might ask you to lead us into this extraordinary meeting.
Thank you, Chair. Look, with all due respect, I'm going to invite Pip up. Pip has been working with the interim regional office now for many months, and she will be able to speak to this paper much more eloquently than I.
Welcome, Pip.
Kia ora. Kia ora, councillors, and to those of you online, good afternoon. Thank you for that introduction, and it's been a very difficult week for many across the region, and in particular our colleagues at Hastings District Council, and my aroha just goes out to them before I move into the paper. So what I'll do today is I will just briefly give you an overview of why we're here and an overview of some of the key points within the paper, and then I'll open up to questions. And this is a really significant proposal for the Hawke's Bay and for the future of local government in the region. But today's decision that's in front of you as HBRC Council is fairly straightforward. You're being asked whether or not you support the proposal that has been put forward by the participating territorial authorities. And ultimately, that's a binary decision. Do you support it or do you not? You'll have received the proposal a few days ago, and given the compressed timeframe that we've been working to, it is deliberately at a high level at this stage. And the intent is to demonstrate that we've got a credible business case for moving forward into detailed design. I'll briefly walk through some key aspects of the paper. So firstly, at its core, the three TAs come together to form a single unitary authority governed by a regional mayor elected at large, and that unitary authority will also assume the functions of Hawke's Bay Regional Council. As you know, Wairoa is not included in the proposal at this stage, following their decision to not pursue the Head Start process. However, arrangements for the delivery of regional functions to Wairoa or affecting Wairoa will need to be worked through. The single unitary authority consists of a governing body of approximately 12 to 16 elected members, although final representation numbers and corresponding ward arrangements will be worked through during detailed design. There is provision for a second tier of governance where that adds value. And the proposal has been quite clear that they're not looking to replicate existing structures, and therefore that second tier must have clearly defined responsibilities. The proposal provides for locally based access to council services. There's explicit recognition for the different needs of rural, coastal and urban communities, and a representation model that factors more than just population alone. There is recognition about the retention and transfer of existing mana whenua relationships, treaty settlement arrangements and the RPC, and also a commitment to conduct community consultation through detailed design. And so subject to Cabinet agreeing to this proposal, detailed design will be the phase that we move into, and that runs sort of September, October through till March. You are probably aware that yesterday Hastings District Council and Central Hawke's Bay District Council approved the proposal to go forward, and this morning our colleagues over at Napier City Council also approved the proposal to go forward. In terms of what detailed design would involve, this phase will be substantial and also occurring in a condensed timeframe. It will include things like detailed financial modelling, as I said earlier, community consultation, development of an effective approach for Māori representation, confirmation of treaty settlement redress and how existing statutory arrangements will operate, and a lot more work on representation, local governance, rating, debt, assets, service levels, transition, organisational design, etc., before final decisions are made. So how we get there is that will require a coordinated and cooperative program across the 4 participating councils. It's going to involve teams from governance, finance, legal, technology, assets, mana whenua, communications, etc. The proposal is that a governance body will be put in place to assist during that detailed design period, and the TAs will be bringing back to their councils a proposal on that governance forum in early September. And then later in September, we'll be bringing back to their councils what that work program looks like, and the intention is to have it governed under a program management office. That piece of work is not budgeted, and it is extraordinary, and it will require additional resources, or at least a diversion of resources and or funding, and the proposal does seek some of that support from central government. So in closing, I think it is also extraordinary that in 90 days as a region we have reached this point. It might not be perfect, but it does provide a really strong foundation to move forward on. And the next phase will be critical, and I think it is a critical time for Hawke's Bay Regional Council to contribute. But for now, I just seek your decision as to whether you support or do not support the proposal that was put in front of you.
Thank you, Pip, and for clarity, that's right. Our questions are really around understanding any pieces that we may have questions about, but obviously no space for us to make any type of amendments or anything else. This is really us endorsing their proposal. I'm really sorry, when I opened I didn't ask for conflicts, and I just note, thank you, that Tanya has noted her conflict. Did anybody else want to do that before we move into questions?
The chair, the same as I. Thank you.
So yeah, questions for Pip, if any. Di.
Just one probably off the paper, or maybe I didn't see it. When once the proposal goes in on the 9th, and then we're virtually straight into the next phase, is there a lag there before the Crown will approve the proposal?
Yes, there is time for the Crown to assess the proposal. We're expecting a response back later in September.
And so would we delay any work on it until we receive that, or we're going to...
No, the intention is for the IRO, their Interim Regional Office, to continue with those 2 pieces that I mentioned, looking at the governance arrangements for the next phase and also starting to work up the program plan for that next phase as well, so that should we get the green light, we can hit the ground running.
Thank you.
Questions? questions? Okay. So we have some recommendations. Recommendations 1 to 8. I'll be looking forward to somebody moving a decision on recommendation 6 to support or not the proposal.
Happy to move to support.
Someone like to second that? Councillor McIntosh, thank you. Councillor Roadley.
Possibly just to commend the staff in that interim office and yourself, Pip, for the work that you've done on behalf of our council to get this mahi together across a diversity of thoughts and desires and aspirations and pull together a very coherent looking approach. And so congratulations for your work, and I thank you for representing us so well.
Councillor McIntosh.
Thanks. Just to endorse what Councillor Roadley said, and I think the lack of questions is in part related to the comprehensive nature of what's in here. It really does tick all the boxes, and I would like to actually commend our team in particular. I'm sure you had a heck of a lot of value to add, both in your patch pit but in the wider regional perspective we had on things. So I'm sure that helped a whole lot with the overall document. So really that's all I wanted to say, Chair.
Thank you. Comments from online? No? No more here? Councillor Kaprinsky?
Sure. I went to most of the community meetings in Central Hawke's Bay, so there were two things that the Central Hawke's Bay community thought were important: a provision for the second tier of local government, the community board or whatever else you want to call it, and representation not based entirely on population. They were the two crucial things that came through all the separate meetings.
Well, I strongly support the recommendation to support the proposal. I want to congratulate our mayors. I think the situation that we were all put in, but particularly the mayors, by the government's shaping of the structure of this, made it incredibly difficult to come together in a way that didn't feel threatening, didn't feel as though a lot was going to be lost. And I think the four mayors, even though Wairoa has chosen to follow their own pathway, worked really hard to come to this space. So I really commend them for that, alongside the technical working team, which I know Pip has put a huge amount of work in, and I know has worked incredibly collaboratively. Even though, in fact, this proposal looks to shrink the pool, really, of staffing and governance, it feels as though people have come together to look at the bigger picture. Certainly the decision to look at a single unitary very much fits with our philosophy and what we've spoken of throughout this whole process. And I, through the Mayor's Forum, have heard them speak regularly about an understanding of a real understanding of how important, particularly for our region, the catchment basis for knowledge and the catchment basis for design is relevant to us. So alongside water security and land management, they all actually have a huge respect for that work and knowledge. It needs to be a basis for this next entity. So congratulations to everyone. Thank you to the mover and the seconder. Would you like to add anything, Acting Chief Executive, at this point? No? Excuse me, Chair.
Got it online.
Yes, thank you. Councillor Van Beek.
You're on mute, Van Beek.
On mute.
Louise goes first. She was first up.
Kia ora, Councillor Parsons.
Thank you. I just wanted to say that I think this is probably the best outcome that we could hope for. I've been a big supporter of one unitary council the whole way through, and I'm really looking forward to the next phase when we actually do get to sit around the table and have some input. So congratulations to everyone. Obviously, I want to say thank you to the team, our team at our council, Pip. You've been remarkable. And let's see what we can do while we're still here and make the biggest impact we can, but then have some real true value to add for the next phase, which is going to be good. Thanks.
Councillor Van Beek?
Yeah, similar. You always look for the little things that you thrive and strive for. And it's great to see that actually we see that the rural area of Hawke's Bay are not minimised in this process. By reading through the document, you can see the opportunities that lie ahead of us, and not that they're going to be easy. But definitely there's some amazing work that we could achieve if we planned this really well. And I hope sincerely that the governing body that is going to do this work will have good reputation. Good representation from right across all areas of Hawke's Bay, and come up with the outcome that is good for Hawke's Bay rather than the patch they originally may have come from. I think we will have influence in this space, and I think we should endeavour to have influence and maybe be brave and speak out if we feel that we've been marginalised as a regional council. I've got a good feeling about this, so let's hope and think positive about our input in all of this. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Councillor Van Beek. No other speakers? No. Well, we have a mover and a seconder. And I'm going to put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Any against? That's carried. Thank you very much, everyone, and opportunity abounds.
Thank you, councillors.
Thank you, Pip. Yes, let's share and karakia together the English. I'll read the English first. Our work is finished for the moment. Bless us all. Bless our families, our friends. Peace to the universe. Me karakia tātou. Kua mutu a mātou nā I. Moti nei wā. Tia wā mātou ka. Kua mātou God. O mātou whānau. Ai, ki te orani. Ti hei, Mauri ora. Kia ora tātou. Thank you, everyone.
Kia ora.